America. I'm Robert Reese, and welcome back to the CEO Show. We're here today with Saul Gindi. How are you, Saul?
I'm good. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning. Good to see you again. And Saul is the head of Wells Fargo Advisors. So, talk about you're in a very competitive space in Wall Street. How how is Wells Fargo different?
Thank you, Robert, for that. And thank you for having me again. I know we've spoken before, and it's always great to have conversations with you. So Wells Fargo, I always describe it, it's a great American company, right? We are a local partner in all of our markets. We have a business that's mostly US based, but across all 50 states. And we really make sure that we deliver our capabilities directly to the clients where they are. And it's an important part of how we operate. Aside from that, I will also tell you, we always like to say, there's no client that could outgrow this company, right? So we have very large businesses across wealth management, which I'm a part of, consumer banking, commercial banking, and investment banking. And we're actually starting to unlock the ability to work across the firm in a much easier fashion for clients. So whatever needs they may have, they can get it from Wells Fargo.
So, in heading up Wells Fargo Advisors, we always have CEOs. I'm speaking with CEOs every single day. And one thing is they're focused on their business. They're not as focused on their investments. So I'm wondering what advice you could give to CEOs about their investments. I mean, considering if you look at it, you're overseeing in a fiduciary concept like $2.5 trillion in assets. So you're obviously doing something right. What advice would you have to CEOs on investments?
Sure. I mean, so there are different types of investments, and I'll tell you from a CEO perspective, I'm going to throw you for a little bit of a loop. I think the most important investment we can make is in people, right? It's really at the end of the day when you think about how you build successful companies and how you're able to actually deliver what clients really need. It's just the ability to work as a cohesive team, and it's the ability really to have quality people across all parts of the organization, and that just doesn't happen. Right? It means you have to make sure you hire well. It means you have to focus on culture. And I think the most important thing, you really have to focus on training people when they're here, making sure people have different types of experiences, making sure that you focus on becoming a better manager as part of what the executives are doing. And when you do all those things, I think that improves client experience and it improves performance. Right now, right, the traditional type of investments. I think nowadays everybody's talking about technology and how investing in technology and how being ahead of how business models change is important for all businesses, and I think it is. Um, but I just think it's going to be different in different industries, right? So I just think about our business in wealth management, and it's so relationship focused. And the key to winning is really having a trusted advisor. And in those situations, I really think the change to the business model is going to be how we make those advisors more productive, how we make those advisors able to have better ideas for clients, how to make sure that they can do things more quickly for clients. And over time, we'll see if that expands further. And that's a lot different from industries where there's less of a relationship. And I think, those really, I think can be disrupted very quickly by what's coming out in the AI world and the technology world, as we've seen over time, right? This is not the first time we've seen a new technology come and change the way we have to operate our businesses.
So with technology, and then I want to go back to people. Are we looking more of where it could be robo trading, and what role will AI really play in how you're helping your advisors help their clients?
Right. Can I be vulnerable with you for a minute, Robert? I don't know.
Me, and 600,000 listeners. So yes.
I don't know. At the end of the day, it's up to the clients. So, the clients are going to be the ones who decide if they're comfortable with a robo advisor or a human advisor or somewhere in between. And I think it's our job to make the right investments to invest in the right capabilities. So wherever the client wants to go, however they want to interact, we're able to meet them. Now, it's my personal view. I think it's going to be quite a while before we have full robo advice for very large decisions with big dollars. Because if you get it wrong, the consequences are really large. And I think those are the exact types of decisions you want to make sure you have a personal relationship, you have someone with a tremendous amount of experience, and you may even want to have multiple advisors, right? But I just see I know that that's how our industry works, and it's going to take a lot to change that.
Yeah, I found a lot of people have three main advisors. A lot of CEOs I speak with. One is their primary, one is a backup. If something happens to that person, they're no longer with the company, whatever. And a third is, well, I like international, I like, derivatives. And, so they'll pick a specialist or something.
I think it's important. Diversify, diversify, diversify.
Okay, so you did give me an unexpected answer when I asked about the investments, and you said people. So with people, we have all these CEOs listening in. Are there any, call it secrets, that Saul Gindi does that helps him be a great manager and a leader, which are different things? And then the second part is, how do you scale up? Are those skills the same or do they change?
Yeah. So I don't know if it's a secret, but I'll give you a little bit of what my week looks like because we have a very large business, like you said. We have thousands of financial advisors. We have offices in all 50 states, and I in order for me to be able to manage that effectively, I find that I need to be on the ground. So I do spend a lot of my time traveling between our offices. I do make sure that, I travel to our different markets and talk about what our strategy is, talk about some of the best execution that we're seeing across the country. Because the secret to managing a large business, a scale business, is really having consistency of execution across the whole businesses. If all it
Hmm.
was basically a conglomeration of different offices, then what's the point, right? We have great investments we're making in technology, great investments we're making in our investment advice and our investment capabilities through the Wells Fargo Institute. So I need to think about, well, how are we communicating that effectively? And how is everybody on the ground incorporating that into their daily routine with their clients? So I always say the most important meetings that are happening are not the ones that are happening at headquarters. They're the ones that are happening every single day in every one of our offices with our clients. And the closer I could be to that and the more I can see of that, I know that I'm going to be able to make better decisions at the end of the day and better investments at the end of the day.
Okay, one final question before we go on break. When we look at the next generation, what can business leaders do, especially in financial services, to strengthen public trust in institutions shaping our future?
Yes. So, I think the trust is important. And again, the trust comes down to relationship. And, we
Mhm.
see this time and time again. Um, if you have a relationship with an institution and you have a relationship with your trusted advisor, your account officer, your banker, whoever it is at that institution, those relationships that are quality, they stand the test of time, right? And when you have an institution that has say good scores and a good brand combined with those relationships that are really trusted, very hard to break that. And those are really, I think, the foundations for how you grow a business and grow a relationship.
Got it. Anyone who's interested in Wells Fargo, what's the website they go to?
WellsFargo.com, and we have WellsFargoAdvisors.com.
Okay. Back in a few. When we come back with Saul, we're going to find out, number one, what was a transformative moment in his career, in his life? Number two, something he would know better than most people. What is the secret to someone being great at sales? Back in a few. Hi, this is Robert Reese on the CEO Show, where we speak with the CEOs who reinvent the fabric of America. We're here today with Saul Gindi, who is the head of Wells Fargo Advisors. So you've had quite an illustrious career, and I know you're a humble guy, so you'll take that with a grain of salt. What was a transformative moment you had in your career?
Okay. So, I would say I started my career, working at medium-sized institutions. So I started at a bank called Republic National Bank of New York. It was a large commercial bank, about $100 billion of assets, um, about 10,000 employees, and it operated in 3 or 4 states. Uh, in 2008, I joined JP Morgan Chase, which was and is the biggest bank in the world, and it has the largest businesses in every vertical, at the company. And that was transformative for me for a couple of reasons. The first is I really saw how different it is. The ability to manage when you have to manage really large scale businesses, and be successful at that versus, when you're working at either a startup or a medium-sized company. And, my company just went public probably 5 or 10 years earlier than that. Um, and then how you have to work across a big organization because, clients don't see the business we work in. If I happen to be in wealth management, right? They don't stop and say, okay, Wells Fargo Wealth Management. They tend to see their entire relationship with Wells Fargo. And at places as big as this, right, they probably have relationships in different parts of the bank. They may have a commercial banking relationship and a wealth relationship, or a consumer and credit card relationship and a wealth relationship. And the ability to make it feel and seem seamless to them just becomes terribly important.
Uh, that makes a whole lot of sense about how, and everything you're saying seems to come down to the one word of trust. But I want to ask you, in you see the good, the bad, the best of top salespeople. What is the secret, the commonality of those people who are exceptional with clients and and the clients completely trust them?
Yeah, so it's one thing. Clients come first. They always put themselves in their clients' shoes. The most important thing to them is outcomes for their clients, the experience of their clients, right? And making sure their clients know that they are number one for them. And when you behave that way, clients see that. And when you continue to behave that way on an ongoing basis, that is again, that's a relationship that can't be broken. And there are always so many things that pull at us and tug at us, and so many constituencies, right? But if you know what your value proposition is, and at the end of the day, you know who you're working for, right? We work for our clients, then that's the secret to success.
That sums up everything. So let's talk about the role of financial institutions and corporate leaders and how they inspire the youth, the next generation, in things like expanding financial literacy, building the workforce of the future. What are your thoughts on that, Saul?
Yeah, can I tell you, it's a little bit different because the generational differences, how they want to consume information, how they want to interact. Um, I have a kid. One of my kids is in high school. Two of my kids are in college. Even between that, those 3 or 4 or 5 years, you can see how they behave and operate differently, how they use technology differently, how they want to interact differently. So you got to get comfortable with that. You got to get comfortable. You got to communicate with people the way that they are going to engage best, right? Which means not just the way I want to do it, right? A lot of people are going to watch this podcast, right? A lot of people, may not want a podcast. They may want a 30-second clip on Instagram, which I'm sure, Robert, you're going to do for them, right, with the highlights. A lot of people, may want to do things just on their, they may want to text or they may want to chat. You have to know all those things, and you have to be able to communicate effectively on all those media.
Okay. Final question, Saul. What is the future of Wells Fargo?
Yeah, so the future of Wells Fargo is we are one of the largest banks in this country, and we built this bank, really helping build this country. And to me, that's a bright future, right? We're invested in America. All of our businesses are some of the largest around. We help American consumers, we help American businesses. We participate in the capital markets and help strengthen the capital markets in this country. And, we have the wherewithal, the capabilities, and the size to really make an impact, and really perpetuate that success for us, for our clients, and for the country into the future. And, we're really looking forward to that.
Well, thank you. We've been speaking with Saul Gindi, head of Wells Fargo Advisors. What a pleasure it is having you on the CEO show.
Thank you for having me, Robert.
And everyone, let's think about three things that we learned from Saul. Number one, especially if you want to expand your scope and scale, you have to have consistency of execution. Number two, whatever role you're in, go deep, become a complete expert at that. And number three, and this is the one I think that is at the core of everything, clients come first always. Make that client succeed. Class dismissed. See you next time.